He was born in Ojuelegba, Lagos, a neighborhood alive with dreams but heavy with struggle. In a crowded household shared between his Muslim father's 3 wives and a devout Christian mother, a quiet boy with a soft voice and sharp ears sat still, listening. Not to his elders, not to his teachers, but to sound, music, rhythm, melody, what others heard in passing. He absorbed like air. His name was Adedeji Ibrahim Balogun, but the world would one day know him as Wizkid. Born on July 16, 1990, he was the youngest child of a massive family. Life wasn't soft. His mother sold food on the roadside, sometimes giving credit just to make sure people ate. His father, reserved and traditional, wanted structure. But young Adedeji only wanted one thing: freedom. And in music, he found it. At age 11, he joined a church music group called the Glorious Five. They recorded a 7-track gospel album, distributing it within the church and to neighbors. It made no headlines. No label came knocking. But for Wizkid, it was a beginning. He didn't know how. He didn't know when. But he knew. One day, the world would sing his songs. By 13, he was sneaking into music studios in Surulere, not to record, but to learn. He offered to clean equipment, carry wires, and bring food, anything to be allowed in the room. There, he met producer Ojabi Jezreel, who told him to watch and learn before ever touching the mic. So he did. He observed legends, Two-Face Idibia, Sound Sultan, and Banj, as they built hit after hit, and in silence, the boy sharpened. At 15, he started recording hooks. His voice was different, high-pitched but filled with soul, effortless but precise. Producers noticed. They invited him for more collaborations. He began appearing on underground mixtapes. But the world still had no idea what was coming. He dropped out of Lagos State University and later Lead City University, sacrificing formal education for a different kind of knowledge. Studio life, sound engineering, songwriting. He was obsessed. Friends call him a studio rat. He wore it like a badge of honor. Then in 2009, his life changed. He met Banky W., one of the biggest R&B acts in Nigeria. Banky was building a label, Empire Mates Entertainment, Yemi, and looking for a new sound. When he heard Wizkid's demo, he didn't hesitate. He signed a 19-year-old, and soon the world met him through a song that would become a national obsession. Holla at Your Boy. Released in 2010, it exploded across radio, clubs, and campuses. Suddenly, girls were screaming his name. Schools were playing his song at graduation parties. The streets had a new prince. And Nigeria's pop scene would never be the same again. But this wasn't just beginner's luck. In 2011, Wizkid dropped his debut album, Superstar. It was more than a collection of hits. It was a statement. Pakuramo, Don't Dull, Love My Baby, and Tease Me took over the continent. Young people saw themselves in him. He wasn't polished. He wasn't distant. He was one of them. Fame came fast, but so did pressure. Whispers of internal conflict with Banky W's label began. Wizkid wanted more control over his brand. He believed in international success even before it was fashionable. Critics called him arrogant. Fans worried he would disappear like many before him. But instead of burning bridges, he built a new one. In 2013, he launched his own imprint, Starboy Entertainment. It was a bold move. He was barely 23. Most artists his age were still trying to get signed. Wizkid was trying to become a mogul. That same year, he released J.J. featuring Femi Kuti. The message was clear. Wizkid wasn't chasing fleeting fame. He was building legacy. Then came the song that changed everything, Ojuelegba. In 2014, he dropped the track that would introduce him to the world. A haunting, honest reflection of his upbringing. The song felt like a prayer. He wasn't flexing cars or chains. He was talking about pain, about hunger, about a mother who prayed for him when the world laughed. The story of Ojuelegba was not just Wizkid's. It was Nigeria's. It was Africa's. And it echoed globally. The remix featured Skepta and Drake. And just like that, the world leaned in. In 2016, Drake invited Wizkid to collaborate on One Dance. The track became a cultural earthquake. It topped the Billboard Hot 100 for 10 weeks. It became the most streamed song in the world at the time. And on it, right beside Drake, was Wizkid. For many, it was the first time they'd heard his voice. For him, it was just step two. In 2017, he released Sounds from the Other Side. It was a cross-cultural experiment. Afrobeats met R&B, EDM, and dancehall. The album featured Chris Brown, Major Lazer, and Ty Dolla $ign. Critics were divided. Some called it too Western. Others said it was ahead of its time. But Wizkid never looked back. He wasn't chasing perfection. He was chasing evolution. By 2019, he had become a global icon. Nike released a jersey in his honor. He sold out the O2 Arena in London. He performed on Coachella-sized stages. His name was on the lips of people who couldn't pronounce Ojuelegba, but now knew what it meant. And then, during the world's darkest hours, he dropped a masterpiece, made in Lagos. Released in 2020, the album was serene, confident, spiritual. Ginger smile, blessed, and Reckless showcased matured sound. Less bounce, more soul. But one song shattered every boundary. Essence. Originally a sleeper hit, it crept up like a sunrise. Thames, a then relatively unknown singer, poured her voice into the track. Together, they created something timeless. Essence became the first Nigerian song to chart on the Billboard Hot 100. Then came the Justin Bieber remix, and it soared even higher. No one had ever done it before. Not this way. Not with this sound. Wizkid had carried Afrobeats into the global mainstream. Not as a guest, not as a token, but as a king. He followed it up with more love, less ego in 2022, a message of peace in a world of chaos. He wasn't fighting for approval anymore. He had nothing left to prove. The sound was softer, more vulnerable, like someone who had seen the world and now wanted peace. But behind the success, the tours, and the accolades, life still had its blows. In 2023, Wizkid's mother passed away. The woman who once sold food to feed her children, who prayed for him on street corners, who told him that he was meant for more, was gone. He went silent. No tweets, no shows, no interviews. When he reappeared, it was as a man humbled by pain. He didn't talk much about it, but those close to him said he was never quite the same. It was a reminder. Even stars bleed. Still, his legacy continued to expand. New artists, Rema, Fireboy Irastar, openly credit him for showing them what was possible. Internationally, he became a symbol of what Africa could do when it refused to shrink. Wizkid's rise wasn't just musical. It was political, cultural, generational. He made it cool to be African on the world stage, not by pretending to be something else, but by being exactly who he was. Today, he sells out stadiums in minutes. He walks red carpets without a word. He's father to multiple children, a quiet philanthropist, a cultural ambassador, and still a boy from Ojuelegba. His story is not one of overnight fame, but of quiet persistence, of showing up, of making sound his language and turning struggle into a symphony. He never shouted. He never begged. He never changed for the world. Instead, the world changed for him. And in every corner of the globe, from Lagos to London to Los Angeles,